Welcome back, everyone. The topic of this video is going to be easy hacks for better using unusual whales. My name is Tarr. Most of you know me from Twitter on ProfitsTaken. I'm a former two-time Inc. 50 CEO, former professional stock and options specialist and trader, and I'm a private equity manager. Today, I'm going to take you through using a few easy hacks for one of my favorite tools, that's unusual whales. So let's get right through it. All right, so easy hacks, what are we talking about? We're talking about quality of life improvements, making unusual whales easier to use, because what do we know? We know that one of the hardest things is being efficient and being able to get through data in the time that we have every evening. Even for me, I have assistants, I have a team, and I dedicate my life to this, but I can't review every single ticker. So it's so important to me to be efficient, and I'm sure it's the same for most of you. If you have a limited amount of time, you don't have time to go through every single ticker. You kind of have to just choose some, take a look, perform your analysis, and if you don't find a winning trade, that's okay. And I'll note right here before we get into it, if you don't find a winning trade, never force it. I've had a lot of videos on that topic and you can look at them, but that's a conversation for another day. So let's take a look at my setup right here. I cleared out my watch list and everything else so that we can have a clean view. What is one of the issues that I have here? Well, part of the issue is getting enough data on the page. Now for me, and for many of you, when I'm in my home office or my office, my local office, I have all the real estate I need. And by real estate, I mean screen space. I have multiple screens, they're large screens. You could see quite a bit. So I get all the data that I need. But a lot of people don't have additional screens. A lot of people don't have big monitors. A lot of people are working off their laptops. And when I'm working off my laptop, I do have a portable screen, but it's just not enough for the kind of data that I usually crunch. So what do? Let's take a look here. I like to be able to see the chart and also see unusual whales data at the same time, but how do I make it fit? Well, this isn't quite enough data and I'm missing some of my columns because I'm trying to squeeze it in. I don't want to make this any more narrow than it already is. Here's something that you could do on unusual whales. It's not really a feature on the platform, but something I'm going to teach you about your web browser, if you don't already know. And not only unusual whales, you could do this anywhere. So it's ease of reading, but it's for getting more data. So I'm just going to click on this window so that way it's highlighted, right? And I'm going to hold Control, and this is a little bit different on Mac, but you could look it up. I believe it's the Mac button, Control and the minus button, right? And see how it's zoomed out? I'm going to do that again. Now, look at all the columns that I can see. Look how much more data I have on here, right? And this is at 90. This starts to get a little bit small at 70, 65. That's too small for me. It's just a little bit uncomfortable. It's a lot of eye strain. I'm usually good at 70 or 80%. Now, look at the difference, right? Here's 100%. Here I am at 80%, and I can see the signals. I can see if it was bid side, ask side. I get a lot more data. It's easier to look at, and it's not just seeing the additional columns. Look at how many rows I get. Look at the difference, right? I can get that much more data fit onto the page. So it's almost, in a sense, you're maximizing the screen that you have, and I think for people on laptops, that's a big help. Interestingly enough, you would think that on my bigger monitors, my bigger screens in my office, I have more space, right? So I probably will make things small and see quite a bit. It's interesting. Because I have more space, I usually make things bigger, right? Because it's just a comfort thing, and I oftentimes don't look at my screens from sitting up close because it, in this profession, you get tired of it. I stare at the screen all day and you end up having dreams of tickers dancing around in your mind. You need to step back, so I like to have a little bit of distance. I don't like to be seated either. But when I'm on my laptop, because there's restricted space, even with my portable monitor, that's when I really shrink things down because you're dealing with less space, so you want to fit it in. So again, that's Control plus, Control minus, and you can use it anywhere, literally on any page that you want. So this is a hack that you can apply to all of your browsing experience, and particularly for those of you with smaller screens. Now, let's move on. In the spirit of trying to do more with less time and to be more efficient, what else can we do? Well, I like to have, it's something you can do, is have a spreadsheet handy. So maybe you don't have Excel, right? You don't have Microsoft Excel. You don't really use spreadsheets. Don't worry about it. I have a free solution for you. It's really easy. You can just go to Google Sheets. So I created a sheet right here, unusual whales groupings. Go back. We're going to look at the filter tickers here. So sometimes when you're looking through, as I've gone over in other videos, and please take a look at those that will really help you become comfortable and efficient with unusual whales. What I do is I just like to remove certain tickers. So I have those already set. I just created this chart or this sheet for the sake of this video, but it makes it really simple because you can see it's free, it's easy. Just go to docs.google.com, right? And I just have these with the minuses. So maybe there's a group of tickers that you don't want to see. You want to exclude. So here's the feed, and I just go in, I paste that, and now all of a sudden I'll see everything in the feed except for SPX, Apple, and the QQQ. Maybe that's what I want. That's when you get to excluding tickers. You can exclude as many as you want. Maybe you just don't want to see mega caps. Maybe you don't want to see certain tickers because you've already analyzed them or you're not interested in trading them. There's not enough liquidity. Whatever the reasons are, you can exclude as many as you'd like, and you customize this. All you have to do is put a minus sign in front and then comma, and then your next ticker, so on and so forth. But there's more here. You can also group by industry. So if you just want to look at your EV stocks, right? Here's what I do. Let's say I want to look at EV, and I look at Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid, right? So, okay, now I'm analyzing those. Maybe I think something's going on with that within that sector, and there we go. Now we have a good filter on those three, Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid. And of course, it's going to be completely dominated by Tesla. If you want to get a better understanding of this, I have a video on premium filtering. These are very different. Tesla will dominate this page, but if you go to these, there may or may not be any trades. There you go. So we get to see Rivian and Lucid. Now, one of the things that I suggest that really saves you a lot of time and is highly efficient is also grouping your filters. So if you've viewed my video in the past about how we group filters, how we filter based on premium, you're going to know that for some securities, a $25,000 transaction is significant, right? This is why I'm hard on people, and it's quick to spot the con artists when they say only use $25,000 or $10,000 or $5,000 or $50,000, and that is what we use every single time. And they make these little cheat sheets and they put them on Twitter, and that's good for marketing and likes and all that sort of thing, but it makes absolutely no sense. Why? Because what we see on Tesla, right? You see big transactions on Tesla. There's a lot of volume, 260K just right there. And Apple is going to be different from what we see on maybe Riot, right? With that, and we just have a $20,000 filter. Very different. So you can't just group them all the same. But what I did here is I said, okay, so here's some of my stocks that I look at with a $25,000 filter, and I'm going to group them together, right? So let's say Mara, Sophie, and Palantir, right? So normally what I would do is I would say Mara, and I'd let it load and wait and say, okay. And there's just not a lot of data there, and I know that because I've gotten used to these tickers. I know how highly traded they are at these premiums. But again, we said Mara, Palantir, right? Again, not a great deal, and this is time consuming. Then you got to erase it, and then you got to go back, and then we say Sophie, right? Well, what's faster than that is because we know we're not going to get an overwhelming return like we would on, say, Tesla. If you're analyzing Tesla, we want to take a look at Tesla. You're going to be zoomed in and focused because there's a lot of data on Tesla, and this can go on for pages. But if we just have those other three, what I do is say Mara, Sophie, and add in Palantir. Yeah, slipped my mind for a second there. And Palantir, right? And so then I just look at them in one comprehensive view. And that's a lot easier because look, there's not that much data there. So when you start doing these groupings, you move that much faster. So let's just say you want to analyze 10 different or 20 different tickers, right? And you have them in groupings of 4. You're going to just refresh 5 times, right? Because 5 times 4, you're at 20. Whereas otherwise, you're going 1, let me see, waiting, loading, then you're erasing it, then you're going 2, let me see, waiting, loading. It's disjointed. So the idea is to be effective and efficient with getting as much information as you can on the page without being overwhelmed, right? Because you don't want something like this. That's too much noise. You can't zoom in and analyze things properly and with the different time codes, and you're trying to figure it all out. But you also don't want to be looking at one result because then you just pulled that up to get one result. You don't have enough data. You're not aggregating. You're not being efficient with your time. So these are all just time-saving little hacks. Make a sheet. Right? We could zoom in and out. That's Control plus to zoom in, Control minus to zoom out. You get more on the screen. Make groupings. You can have groupings based on your filter size, or you can have groupings based on your sector. This could be something along the lines, and it doesn't have to be EV. You could be looking at semiconductors, and this could be something like NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD, right? Or MU. And then you could just punch those in and see how they're performing if you're trying to analyze that sector, but not necessarily the overarching sector by looking at an index. You're just trying to look at those different securities to see how they're moving based on your analysis. So Hopefully that saves you a little bit of time. The whole thing is saving time. You spent a few minutes watching this video, but if that saves you 10% to 15% of your time, makes it more convenient, makes it easier on your laptop, you're performing that much more analysis. And the more analysis you could perform, the more likelihood there is that you're going to find a winning trade. Or maybe perform the same amount of analysis and you just shave a few minutes off every single night. But it happens every single night going forward. So hopefully that was helpful to you. If you want to learn more, please take a look at my other videos. If you want to learn directly from me through insider access, you could sign up at ProfitsTaken.com. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at ProfitsTaken. And if you're interested in using unusual whales, which is the topic of this video, use the code ProfitsTaken. All right, guys, till next time.